Okay, it's nighttime on February 6th here in Mexico, and I just saw the closing daily candle, and I just wanted to talk about it a little bit by first showing you the actual daily chart of Bitcoin over the last 10 months. So I'm just going to show you sort of what the pattern is that I've been learning about through the trade by design method, and there's sort of an overarching element to learning about trading and technical analysis, and that is following a pattern and then timings, levels, and liquidity. And the pattern overall sort of starts out with the daily time frame. It can even go up to the weekly or monthly, but what's important in this particular chart that I'm sharing here is what happened back 10 months ago in between March and April. So here is a chart that's showing, it's the daily chart, as I said, showing a W formation that spanned out over 29 days, basically a month. And it started with having, a low here, crossed up and hit one of the EMAs, exponentially moving averages, and came down again. And, the mentor that I follow in 𝗏𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗏, actually, caught this as a long position, like an entry into a long position to ride it up to the all-time high. So looking at this chart, it took about a month for that W to create. So just keep that in mind for a second. The actual method follows what's called like a 3-level rise. And on the daily chart, I don't even know if I've got this correctly done here, but I've charted out sort of, level 1, level 2, level 3. Everybody interprets it differently, but ultimately what happened was, for all those people that were smart enough to jump in here and ride it through from this low through to this high, made really good money to, get out here. Now, funnily enough, it actually reached another level higher, and the all-time high came in up here, and the smart people stayed all the way through. I did not catch this trade. We were away at the time. I had literally just lost my dad, did not catch this trade at all. But it's interesting to look back now, simply because on the 5th of February, we've had this massive candle that's dropped down, and I just want to talk about what happened today, like the day following. So just to get an overarching view, if the pattern runs on the daily time frame, the 4-hour time frame, the 1-hour time frame, the 15-minute time frame, it's like they're all like a Russian doll, fitting inside of each other all the way down. So what it takes to get a daily time frame rise level, a retrace, a next rise level 2, a retrace, a next rise level 3, is broken up into all those smaller time frames. So to zoom out here, the two things I wanted to show you was that it took from April 2025, which had a low of about 74,000. If I just click on there, I might be able to show it. Yeah, it's about $74,500 there at the low here in April. So it was like early April. And then it was 10 months, so 302 days, roughly 10 months until what happened on the 5th of February. So if I just zoom out here, there's some pretty major events that happened since the all-time high on the 6th of October. So Bitcoin is all we're talking about here, reached, almost 126,000. I think it was actually 126,000. And 4 days later, just 4 days later, we had this crazy experience that actually happened after an actual trading session where the market makers supposedly, finished for the day. Huge wick down. So it shows on the daily candle as the top to the bottom, but it actually happened within a 15-minute candle. But just looking at this huge drop here, Bitcoin is quite interesting because in the trading method that I'm following, I've learned that, when you have a big candle, like including the wick, it's quite often that it will be found again. So even though this huge wick happened, and then it sort of retraced a little bit. It's like you knew that it was going to come back and, hit that bottom of the wick at some stage. Now, Bitcoin is very different to, if I just flick over and show you XRP, because that was crazy. The wick on the XRP went all the way down here. So Bitcoin recovered its wick very quickly. I'll just go back there and show you. So the Bitcoin recovered its wick. If I just do this little timeline thing again, let me find the right one. So from there until where it actually hit again, wasn't quite a month, but a lot of the altcoins, and XRP is up there as, one of the bigger altcoins, it has taken from the 11th or 10th of October right through until the 5th of February for that wick to actually be recovered. And that was the case for most of the altcoins. It wasn't for Bitcoin, ETH, or Solana, but it's sort of like, I guess it was just proving that it was inevitable that the, markets were going to go down. So if I come back into Bitcoin, just like there's 3 level rises up, there's 3 level rises down. So again, I missed all of these. I was still just wiped out after this big thing, this big event that happened on October the 10th, which really just upset the markets completely. And yeah, there was a slight rise again, a retrace, and then it dropped hugely. I wouldn't really call this here a retrace. Maybe some people do, I don't know. But ultimately what happened was Annie from 𝗧𝗵𝗪 called this second level here kind of the last chance for a major drop, and she called it perfectly. So here at about 96,000 where Bitcoin was, we ended up doing this huge big drop. And again, I missed it. Stupid me. Away on a house sit, a vacation. I can't believe it. I seem to always be away on a house sit when these things happen, but it is what it is. So yeah, this huge drop has happened, but more importantly is just how far it dropped. Like we sort of knew that dropping back to what was the previous all-time high at around 69,000, but it pierced through that. So I'm just going to try and zoom in a little bit here to show you what was sort of expected or wanted more than anything in the following day's candle. So there's something that's called a railway track, where if the two candles, like one big red candle down, one big green candle up, could possibly mean it's pivoting and it's moving. Now, it didn't quite get there. So at this point in time, with the limited technical analysis that I have, I'm not thinking that this is going to be a true pivot point, but there's still a chance that what can happen, let me just get this little drawing tool here, is that there is a chance that it can still create what would be a W formation, and I should change the color of this. It needs to go higher and then retrace back down and then start to go higher from there. So if I just click on this and change the color to what would be green, because green represents the up, then that is what we'd be looking for. Now, considering that the March and April took about 30 days, if we just have a look at what this date range might be, just on my random drawing here, a couple of weeks, maybe till the end of February, into March, could take longer, I don't know. I really can't tell you how this will play out, but this is what we'd be looking for. You'd be looking to have the next daily candle, which has just started here now, to come down, but start to head back up again. So this is multiple days that we'd be looking at to actually see if there's going to be some sort of reversal, because the 3 level drops have come in on the daily candle. And yeah, is this going to be a small reversal? If the overarching trend is considered to be a bear market, it might only do what was happening during the so-called bull market, where there was only kind of like one major drop before it pivoted and reversed again. So bullish scenario would be you'd get, I might just move these out a little bit wider because it might take a little bit longer. Let's go over here. I've got a really bad drawing tool, sorry. Yeah, it might take a little bit longer to get that if there's going to be, a true pivot and maybe increase back to It may not be all-time high, but just sort of getting back up there, and that will tend to, bring the rest of the cryptos and the alt coins back up with it. And if that fails, even if it is a W that's created, if it doesn't get 3 full rise levels, then we're definitely probably only going to get 1 rise level again and come down. And to prove that it would be a bear market would be that it would only rise to less than where it was at this lower high here of 96. So it may only come in, to the mid 70s to mid 90s, and then maybe go back down again. So big guessing game, but I think if the overarching trend is starting to lean towards a down market, it's all you've got to look at. But one thing I've learned is that it really doesn't matter whether it's bullish or bearish, because when you come down in the lower time frames, you can literally trade either way, because as you can see, it may have a big drop down, but there's little retracements and they go back up, and you can trade each of those if you're scalp trading or day trading. Ultimately, what Nat is going to be looking to do with her style of trading, I'll just open this up again, is to be catching these major pivots. So, what they say is a conservative entry would be a confirmation that a W is happening. If she had have caught that, she may have jumped out here. It depends on, your trust in your own technical analysis and all the people that you're listening to. She may have ridden it up to here and thought, oh, new all-time high, I'm going to get out. She wouldn't have really missed out on much if that happens here. It only went up another couple of grand. But it's the key point of pivoting to say, all right, I'm going to get out now. Now, the getting out may have happened on this big wick, but ultimately, this is not going to repeat exactly as it is. But ultimately, what Nat is doing is she's going to be building our Bitcoin back to where it was by playing these longer term pivots, or otherwise known as swing trades, where they, go from one level to the next, pivot around, next level, pivot around. She might play the smaller time frame, she might play the longer time frame. I don't know. She'll let you know what she ends up doing, but that's sort of how it's rolling out. That's potentially where we're at in the next move. And I think there's actually one last thing I will say is it is easier to actually catch trades on the downside because there's easier targets to be had. I find that catching the upside a little bit more difficult, but then I'm not going to be swing trading. I'm just literally going to be looking at the scalps available on smaller time frames. I've found that works best for me. So that's all I wanted to show you, and hopefully that helps, so that you're not sort of down here going, oh my God, I should get out because it's going to go lower. Yeah, it probably will go lower again, but the big decision point will be, will it go lower than what it already was, or is it going to form this sort of W formation in order to, possibly have another little rise up? And it may not be 3 rises up, it may just be 1, but, all these chances of being able to catch trades. But it comes down to what it is you're looking for. It really does. It comes down to, what are you trying to do with your account? Are you building your trading account? Are you trying to accumulate more Bitcoin? Whatever it is, just get clear on that. And if you want help with getting clear on that, then reach out to us, and we're more than happy to, have a chat and talk about, where we're getting the trade alerts for Nat's trading, and where I'm getting the confirmation or the guidance for where these next moves are happening through what I'm following with Trade Travel Chill. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful, and sorry about the nighttime recording here, but we'll see you in the next video.